Tonight, Ontario's cases top 1,000 for just the second time.
We do know certainly that at the current level it is a cause for concern and one that we would be watching very closely.
Now Brampton is in the spotlight with concerning data. Plus,
this happened in the past. It happened at the end of July. I've got an entire future to look forward to.
we have an exclusive interview with a Whitby woman who's getting her life back after recovering from a brutal attack. And tonight will be a Halloween unlike any other. We'll take you trick-or-treating, pandemic style. Good evening, I'm Marivel Tarouk. For the second time now, Ontario reported more than 1,000 new cases of COVID-19 in a single day. Today, that number sits at 1,015. The majority of cases coming from Toronto and Peel region, while the province decides whether to lift modified Stage 2 restrictions next week. But as Angelina King tells us, it'll have to consider another troubling number coming out of Brampton.
Saturdays look a lot different at J. Red & Co. in Brampton. Instead of live music and busy tables, the staff of 35 has gone down to 4 to prep takeout orders. Even patios don't make sense.
We didn't have the finances to invest in a whole bunch of heaters and a tent. It's been really tough. We're only operating at about 37%, 40% of our previous revenues.
The Premier says he understands the impact of modified Stage 2 restrictions, yesterday saying,
I want the health officials to come up with a plan that lets business operate safely because we don't know how long this virus will be with us.
But Brampton might be a challenge. Last week, the city's positivity rate was at 9.6%, more than double the provincial average. Brampton's mayor says the population is more susceptible to getting infected because of their jobs.
We have a greater number of essential workers. We have 11,000 people working in transportation and logistics, 8,500 working in food processing.
The region's top doctor concerned, but keeping an eye on where that number comes from.
Either you're having more cases, which would reflect a true rise, or you are not doing enough testing.
If restrictions are eased, he says businesses may need to take even more precautions than before, and
there needs to be some other form of restriction that comes down. So whether it is shrinking back down to immediate household levels and essential contacts, not seeing friends.
Mississauga's Board of Trade is asking the Stage 2 restrictions be lifted in Peel, saying responsible businesses shouldn't be penalized.
But we really believe that that restaurants are being unfairly treated with respect to this particular stage.
But some experts say easing restrictions may result in the public becoming lax when it comes to precautions.
And so this messaging may actually backfire in that it's now going to make the numbers higher, and therefore a future lockdown may be even longer, which is even more painful for the restaurants and all the business owners as well.
Meanwhile, Jason Rosso wonders if he can reopen next week, will people come back?
Does it make it financially viable for a restaurant? And I suspect it probably doesn't. So I'm quite worried about that.
Worried the damage may already be done. Angelina King, CBC News, Brampton.
A town in northern Ontario has declared a state of emergency as COVID-19 case numbers continue to surge there.
I'm just asking my citizens to be aware and respect each other, respect the distance, wash your hands, put a mask on, and we're going to come out of it all together.
There have been 6 new cases of COVID-19 in the town of Hearst since October 23rd. The community, about 250 kilometers northwest of Timmins, has had outbreaks in schools and their public health unit. The region's medical officer said they are concerned about an increased risk of community exposure. Halloween has been canceled in the town, and OPP officers will be patrolling over the weekend to ensure public and social gathering restrictions are adhered to. There have been a total of 98 cases of COVID-19 in the region since the start of the pandemic. An Ontario Teachers Union is outraged over a decision by the Toronto District School Board to spend more than $2 million on bonuses for managers. The money will be given to principals and vice principals for what the board calls unprecedented demands due to COVID-19. A spokesperson for the board said the employees were required to attend work earlier in August compared to previous years. Meanwhile, the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation lashed back in a letter. The president expressed outrage over what she's calling a decision to ignore frontline workers. Well, this Halloween, residents in Ontario are being asked to scale back celebrations. How far back depends on where people live. In the COVID-19 hotspots, Toronto, Peel, York, and Ottawa, officials are advising against trick-or-treating. As Talia Ricci reports, that's prompted some creativity to ensure kids still have fun.
Oh, that was a close one. Try again. Oh, you got it!
Halloween at home did not disappoint in this household.
Bat ears. So far, they've loved it. You know, they woke up to like a table full of treats, so that's always a good way to start the day. We've been playing games. Later on, we're going to watch some Halloween movies and have a little camp out in the living room too to end the night.
Toronto Public Health suggested safe alternatives this year, like decorating and virtual parties, as officials recommended against some of the usual Halloween traditions during the province's second wave.
The main concern we would have would be with large gatherings where people don't physically distance and don't wear masks and so on, and we strongly discourage that from happening. And you know, the provincial advice in which we concur, which is to suggest to people with regard to ordinary trick-or-treating that they should try to do something else that's a bit safer this year.
I'm Captain Underpants. I'm a witch.
For this mom, making Halloween 2020 special for her kids was a nice experience for her, too.
It was a really good distraction even for my husband and I, you know, and like for one day we got to kind of just have fun too and not worry about what was going on outside.
At the Toronto Zoo today, Halloween Town hosted a steady stream of families.
This was an experience that is put together by our staff and volunteers. Shows some of the creativity of our people right here at the Toronto Zoo. So we were all given hay bales and teams came together.
Gray says safety is a priority at the zoo and their location can easily accommodate social distancing with lots of outdoor space. For this family, it was their Halloween highlight.
This is our Halloween plan just because with COVID, there are some concerns with going trick-or-treating, so this was a really nice alternative to the evening plans. Little Grayson here loves coming and seeing all the animals.
And if you're trick-or-treating this evening outside of Ontario's hot zones, health officials are still recommending some safety precautions, like sticking with your household, staying outside, and if you're indoors, handing out candy to wear a mask. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
What I'm loving, Christina, about this Halloween, although it is a little more difficult than normal, is the creativity that everybody is showing. And of course, the cute kids.
Absolutely, I love that. And I love the fact that we have clear skies tonight too, Maryvale.
Yep, we'll count that too.
All right, so let's take a look at these temperatures. So if you happen to be heading out in those creative costumes like Maryvale mentioned, well, you're going to be enjoying some clear skies, cool conditions. Today happened to be the coolest day we have experienced in the Greater Toronto Area since March. So enjoy those cool conditions and clear conditions overnight because things are going to be changing. Here comes in this cold front, and we're going to be waking up Sunday morning to some rain. Not a lot of accumulation, but rain nonetheless, and a windy Sunday morning as well, so prepare yourself. Not the best time to have that umbrella. And then everybody, it is our very first lake effect snow for southern Ontario as well. Once again, not a lot of accumulation. Could wake up to that pretty white stuff on your rooftops for the GTA, but if you're heading towards London, Windsor, or even Barrie, you could see a few centimeters of that snowfall. That cold front moving quickly into the Atlantic. Let's take a look at our Sunday morning. 9 degrees, there is your rainfall. How much rainfall are we going to see? Well, Toronto, less than 5 millimeters. Heading to London, you could see a little bit more. Nation's capital will also see a few more millimeters of that rainfall, as well as a few centimeters of that snowfall as well. Hamilton's going to see less than 2 centimeters, and I'll have more details for you in the long-range forecast.
Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks,
All right.
Christina.
Thank you.
A memorial has been set up in Bradford for 15-year-old Siem Zigurzi. His body was found yesterday after he went missing last week. Flowers and his photo were placed near the pond where South Simcoe police found what they believe to be his body. Items possibly belonging to Zareski were discovered in the area of 8th Line and Professor Day Drive yesterday afternoon. A body was then found by an underwater search and recovery unit in a pond near the boy's home. The news has devastated the neighborhood.
We weren't waiting for this. We were waiting for some really good news. Like, we wanted him back. He lives, like, not too far from where we live. I didn't know the boy. I don't know the family. But we're all on this together.
Police are continuing their investigation and an autopsy will be conducted. Anyone with information or surveillance video is asked to contact police.
I don't care how hard Donald Trump tries. There's nothing, let me say it again, there's nothing that he can do to stop the people of this nation from voting in overwhelming numbers and taking back this democracy.
Campaigning heats up just days before the U.S. election. We'll have that story after the break. Christia Freeland is in isolation after receiving a notification from the COVID Alert app. The Deputy Prime Minister said she was tested and is awaiting results at home. England is returning to pandemic lockdown. Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the measures today.
I'm under no illusions about how difficult this will be for businesses which have already had to endure such hardship this year, and I'm truly, truly sorry for that.
The measures take effect Thursday and will last until December 2nd. People will only be allowed to leave their homes for specific reasons, including work, education, exercise, and shopping for essentials. Restaurants will be limited to takeout. Non-essential retail will be closed. New infections across Britain are hovering around 20,000 a day. It is down to the final days of campaigning in the U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump and Joe Biden focusing on battleground states in the last effort to shore up support before Tuesday's voting. CBC's Stephen D'Souza has the latest from both campaigns.
Donald Trump left no doubt today that his most likely path back to the White House goes through Pennsylvania, holding 4 rallies in the state.
3 days from now, this is the state that will save the American dream.
Looking to shore up support in the rural areas that gave him a surprise victory in the state in 2016, Trump pitched himself as a political outsider and rivaled Joe Biden as a career politician responsible for the state's decline in blue-collar jobs.
For 47 years, he supported every disastrous trade deal that enriched his cronies and impoverished your state.
Trump also previewed potential problems on Election Day. Because of a huge number of mail-in votes, Pennsylvania's final result likely won't be announced November 3rd, especially with some mail-in ballots allowed to come in for days afterwards.
You're going to be waiting for weeks, and a very dangerous thing happens November 3rd, and now you have to wait, and very bad things can happen with ballots.
Experts worry that Trump will use the early results to declare a premature victory because those results are likely to favor Republicans who are more likely to vote in person.
Trying to insist that he has been reelected, that the mail-in ballots are fraudulent and can't be counted, and he could, really try to muddy the waters so that we're just not certain about the result.
In another key battleground, Michigan, Joe Biden wanted to make sure voters left no doubt.
I don't care how hard Donald Trump tries. There's nothing, let me say it again, there's nothing that he can do to stop the people of this nation from voting in overwhelming numbers and taking back this democracy.
For the first time in the campaign, Biden appeared with former President Barack Obama.
We got to vote up and down the ticket like never before, right here in Michigan and all across the country. We've got to leave no doubt about who we are and what this country stands for.
Biden himself will be in Pennsylvania in the coming days as the battle for votes continues, and the battle over votes may just be beginning. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Tuesday's election is also expected to record a sharp increase in ballots cast by eligible voters living in Canada. The CBC's Sarah Levitt has this look at 2 of those voters going opposite ways.
9, so I was 8. Outside her Montreal home, Virginia St-Cyr looks at her teenage self in Finney, Kansas. Too young to vote when Dwight D. Eisenhower was first elected president, St-Cyr then moved to Canada for love. In fact, she's never voted in her 88 years in an American or Canadian election.
Till now. Now, with the great desire to see the end of Donald Trump, I felt very deeply that I should do something.
Around 620,000 Americans living in Canada are eligible to vote. In 2016, though, only 5.3% actually cast a ballot. That's likely going to change this election. The federal voting assistance program says requests for absentee ballots has doubled this time around. St-Cyr was one of them.
They call it the United States. Well, let us see some of this union.
Working on her farm in Blenheim, Ontario, Liz Newen feels the same way about the division in the states, that is.
I don't think I saw the divide in the country that I saw before, or like that I see now. And I think shutting things down and taxing the crap out of corporations, as Biden would like to do, is going to cause kind of financial disaster.
A Republican, Nguyen voted via absentee ballot. It's the first time since she moved here from New Jersey 30 years ago. She says she's pro-choice, supports the LGBTQ community and movements like Black Lives Matter. Her vote is about the economy, and she's strongly against Joe Biden's plan to raise taxes on businesses and wealthy Americans.
I don't think Trump is a wonderful guy, but I think he's doing a good job running the business of the U.S.
For both women, regardless of political leanings, having their voices heard this election means everything. Sarah Levitz, CBC News, Montreal.
A Whitby woman says she feels immense gratitude despite a horrific experience. 3 months ago, Kimberly, whose full name we can't use due to a publication ban, was brutally attacked by a stranger and left for dead near a creek. Today, she is home and recovering. And while the road may be long, she says love and support from near and far is helping her through. Kelly Yoon has this exclusive CBC Toronto interview.
Kimberly and her husband Rob go for a walk every day. It's their new routine since she came home.
There was a time when I couldn't walk, and that was really frightening. And once I got the ability to walk again, I just I felt more like myself. So when I'm out for a walk in the neighborhood, that's when I feel the most normal.
Kimberly was out on an evening walk in July when she was brutally assaulted by a stranger. Police found her the next day lying near a creek in the area of Taunton Road East and Anderson Street. She was in a coma for a week, the hospital for a month, in rehab for almost another. She still can't smell or taste.
I had a shattered jaw and a lot of fractures on my skull and my face. So the shattered jaw, the plastic surgeon said it was like pieces of crackers, like they had to put it together again, and I have plates in my jaw. I'm still trying to get the feeling back in the bottom of my face. Probably there's about a month of time that I don't even remember.
When she finally regained full consciousness, that's when she found out what happened to her. That's also when she learned of all the support, even during our interview, neighbors stopping to wish her well.
You don't realize how strong the community is and how much people really want to help and show their love and support until you're in a position like this.
Anthony Doran Francis from Whitby has been charged with attempted murder, aggravated sexual assault, and aggravated assault. In August, Kimberly's sister-in-law organized a silent walk in Cobourg in her honor and to shed light on violence against women. And a GoFundMe has so far raised over $126,000. She said the money raised will go towards surgeries, counseling, and everyday bills so that she doesn't have to rush back to work. And while the road to recovery is far from over, she says what she feels most is gratitude.
I'm really grateful. I mean, my arms and my hands and my legs, they all work. And so, I mean, how much better could it be than that? How much more blessed could I be than that?
Such extreme fighter she is, and that will to survive, and just a light. It's miraculous. You know, I call her Kim Possible.
I think it's really important that people know, like, bad stuff happens. It really does happen. But we can be okay. I have a lot of supports to draw on, so I consider myself lucky for that. But I also know not everybody has that, and maybe someone could have gone through this and been in a totally different situation. And I have compassion for those people too. I'm just lucky that I'm okay.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Whitby.
Christine, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the lake effect snow you were telling us about.
So Maribel, just some light snowfall. That's all it is.
Okay, that's all.
Saving that heavy snowfall for northern Ontario. So we're just going to have a little bit of that. It's going to look pretty on the rooftops. How's that?
Okay. Well, and at least it let us get Halloween out of the way before the S word.
Here's another good thing for our Sunday. We get an extra hour of sleep. Don't forget to switch those clocks, 2 a.m. local time. This is what our Sunday is going to look like. Here's that rainfall that we were talking about. Straight across the board. Not a lot of accumulation when it comes to that snowfall, though, as I was just telling Maryville about. We're saving that for northern Ontario. That cold front is pushing into the Atlantic quite quickly, and as it does, what a dramatic turn of events for those temperatures. Monday, Toronto 6 degrees, Mississauga 6 degrees, Oakville 6 degrees, Burlington 6 degrees, plenty of sunshine across the board. And for our Monday overnight, we're still staying above freezing. Toronto at 3 degrees, Mississauga 3 degrees, Burlington at 3 degrees. So the temperatures are only going to get better into the week and midweek. So check out your Tuesday. Toronto 7 degrees, cloud cover, but we are still doing very well. It's feeling more like October instead of December, which is what it felt like today. A look at our next 7 days. There is your rainfall for your Sunday. The sun comes out for your Monday, cloud cover for your Tuesday. Check out your Wednesday. By the time we get to midweek, 14 degrees. Thursday, 15 degrees, Friday, 16 degrees. By the time next weekend rolls around, 13 degrees. So it looks like we're going to get another taste of that beautiful weather come midweek. Barrie, Ontario, there is that rainfall. We could also be seeing some of that mixture, so some snowfall potentially for your Sunday as well. Monday at 3 degrees, Tuesday at 3 degrees. Here is your Wednesday. So from 3 degrees on Tuesday, Wednesday at 14 degrees for Barrie, plenty of sunshine. And then I will see you tomorrow with an extra hour of sleep.
Yes, bright and, well, late, I guess, for our 11 o'clock show. Thanks, Christina.
Thanks so much, Maribel.
And that's our show for you tonight. As a reminder, again, because we can't remind you enough, don't forget to turn your clocks back 1 hour tonight for daylight saving time. We're going to leave you with a Halloween parade from Scarborough. Have a safe and spooky night and enjoy this cuteness overload.